Well, here we go, boys and girls. On the eve of the beginning of the World Cup, I am going to do my prediction looking at all of these group and look at where each of these team is going to finish in the group stage. Now, I've seen some people that have already gone as far as filling out the bracket of who's going to win the World Cup. I'm not going to do that until when we get through the group stage and see which team is going to get into the knockout round, because I guarantee if I do that, most of the teams probably I picked to make it into the knockout stage and fill out that bracket won't actually be there. But one thing that I also will say about my prediction is that this is just kind of my opinion, and if you disagree with it, you'll feel free to let me know in the comments below. And this is kind of time for me to tell you that I will once again talk about how let me know in the comments below at the end of the video what your prediction is going to be for these group stage game in the World Cup. And as it is always the case in terms of me making prediction video, you know I'm one that likes to make bold prediction and one to make some crazy predictions. So don't be surprised. I might pick some teams that you might think that they might not actually do well in this tournament and they end up doing well, and then vice versa. And also, after all, this is the World Cup, and that, you know, every World Cup we always tend to have one team that you think that they're not going to do anything, and next thing you know, they're in the quarterfinal of the World Cup. And then you have a team that is like dead on favorite of winning the World Cup, and they don't even make it out of the first hurdle. So with that being said, let us actually start with Group A, and I'm actually gonna write down basically all the teams of where I'm gonna finish instead of going one by one, because if I do that, that's gonna just take way too long to do so. But in Group A, I have the Netherlands topping out Group A, and then I got Senegal in second, Qatar in third, and I'm gonna make a bit of a bold prediction and say Ecuador is gonna finish dead last. And the reason why I say that is because I think there are some people that have said Ecuador could make it out of the group, and I don't blame them, because you know Ecuador, they have some very talented player. One of the most talented player from their team is Moses Caicedo, who, believe it or not, he was actually very close of potentially joining Atlanta United. And speaking of MLS team, Ecuador is pretty much like the team that if you're an MLS fan, they're kind of like your second team. And as an MLS fan, I'm gonna kind of almost root for Ecuador a little bit, because they have a lot of players that plays in MLS that currently play in Ecuador. Some player including Diego Palacio, Jose Cervantes, a couple of players from LAFC. But you know, I'm gonna make a bold prediction to say I think they're gonna finish dead last, mainly because you know they're more of kind of like a counter attacking kind team, and that you know some of the team that they're going to be facing, you know, they're going to be facing some really good attacker. I mean, Netherlands, we know that they are definitely the class of this group, and I think they're going to finish in first place. And especially, I think this Dutch side, knowing the fact that they're now back in the World Cup for the first time, and then the great Louis van Gaal is taking charge of this team, and knowing that you know he definitely wants to get his team back to being the best after this team was noticeably absent in the last World Cup. You know they're going to be up for it. And then Senegal is a team that, you know, don't be surprised if they can finish first place too, because they are a team that a lot of people, including myself, think that they are the strongest team coming out of the African region. And then Qatar, obviously a team, they could all definitely make it out of the group too, because on historically, at least in the past couple of World Cup, teams that host the World Cup has been able to make it out the knockout stage. And we look at last year, Russia, where nobody gave Russia chances of making far in the World Cup, and they made it all the way to the quarterfinal. Though again, you know, Qatar, you know, they don't have that quality maybe to go that deep, but they definitely have the quality in terms of having home field advantage, and at least have the home fans behind the back, and that seems like a huge advantage when it comes to the World Cup, especially from some of the teams that have hosted the World Cup and have done relatively well for the past 5 and 6 edition of the World Cup. And then we go into Group B. This is the group that I think everybody is paying attention if you're a US fan, because they are in this group, and a group that I think some people also will pay attention to in terms of just kind of geopolitical situation that's going on in Group B. And again, I'm going to make another prediction too. I am going to say the U.S. is going to finish first. I'm going to say Wales second. I'm going to say England's not going to make it to the next round. And then I put Iran in fourth place here. And I know this might sound very, very biased of me putting the U.S. in first place. But I know there's some people that are not kind of confident, and I know there's going to be a lot of doomers and gloomers that can't wait for this World Cup and see the U.S. fail spectacularly, because after all, that's what the doomers love to do. I mean, if you're a doomer of this team, do you really want to root for the, like, if you're a doomer, you want to see the team fail. I mean, you might as well just not really root for the U.S. and if you're maybe even like a Greg Berhalter hater, you might as well just kind of root for another team and hope that maybe they can knock the U.S. out. So you can basically be proven that, yeah, you were right in terms of the fact that the U.S. wasn't gonna do that much. But I'm kind of one of those person that isn't really that. I'm kind of more of the optimistic one, that I think they could finish top of the group. Sure, yes, there's gonna be a lot of things that needs to go right. I mean, the defense has to do well against some really good attacking threat, and also especially in the attack. And hopefully, whoever plays number 9 in that row is gonna score some goals for this team. But yeah, they definitely, they still have a shot in terms of finishing in first place. Especially, I think they can definitely beat Wales in the first game, and then the second game against England, I can definitely see that them winning it, especially with the way that, the reason why I also put England not making out of the group, and I even talk about in my bold prediction, is that I do have some concern in terms of the back line of England, and also some of the injuries concerned with the way that there's some of their biggest star players are actually gonna not play a lot of minutes, if any minutes, with this England team. Well, the key player that is not going to be playing at least a lot of minutes is Kyle Walker in that defensive line. But also the fact that, Gareth Southgate, just like the whole Greg Berhalter situation, I know a lot of England fans have been very, very critical of how Gareth Southgate kind of set up the team, and not a lot of people like how he does it, and especially the tactics seems to be way too negative when they have the better team. And basically, in other words, he doesn't know how to get the best out of his team. So because of that, I think they could miss out. And this won't be the first time we've seen England had a disappointing tournament. We've seen them have tournaments where they just completely stink it up and miss out on the first hurdle. So I'll say they're in third place. I think Wales will make it, because Wales, even though they haven't been in the World Cup, this is only their second World Cup, they've done very well in terms of tournament place, as what we saw in Euros 2016. And then Iran, I know Iran's going to cause some headache for a lot of these teams in Group B, but, just simply, I just don't think they have enough attacking threat. And especially if they concede the first goal, it's pretty much game over for Iran, because this is not a team that is known to trying to come from behind, and that this is a team that is going to be just kind of trying to bunker throughout the way. And that's not a bad strategy to do so. I think in the end, some of these teams will find ways to get past Iran and get that crucial goal to maybe scrap like a 1-0 or even 2-0 win over Iran, or even 2-1 win that they have against Iran. Now, moving into Group C, this is also a group that a lot of people will watch, especially for Mexican fans, because they're in this group. And it's also a really tough group too. But in the end, I'm going to say Argentina is going to top out this group. Mexico is going to be second. Poland is going to be third. And Saudi Arabia is going to be finished dead last in this group. Obviously, Argentina is the class of this group. They are definitely the strongest team, and I have a feeling that they are definitely going to move on into the next round. Especially, again, this is Messi, last World Cup. That he's going to be playing at his best and going to try to do what he did in 2014, carry this team all the way to the final. Mexico finishing second place. Mexico has been able to find ways to move on into the next round of the World Cups, and I feel like they're going to do the same thing, although I know there's a lot of Mexican fans are a little bit concerned about this El-Tri team. I mean, it's definitely probably one of the weakest team heading into the World Cup compared to previous year. I mean, they still have some good talent on this, especially on the attack. But yeah, I would be a little bit more confident if this Mexican team had Carlos Vela and Chicharito. I mean, they still have guys like Irvin Lozano and Raul Jimenez leading the line, and not to mention they still have their rock solid goalkeeper in Memo Ochoa. But again, if they had Carlos Vela and Chicharito in this team, it will add more to this attack, and that Yeah, and then of course, the whole Tata Martino, and that it seems like just like how the situation with Greg Berhalter with the U.S., a lot of Mexican fans do not like Tata Martino of how he's not getting the best out of this team. But I think in the end they should do still able to finish second. Though it's gonna be tight between them and Poland, because we know Poland had some decent player. Lewandowski is one to note of, but also on a MLS kind of note, they also have Karol Świderski there, and I think Świderski is gonna do well in this tournament along with Lewandowski. But they could be a threat to and could be the biggest threat in terms of Mexico potentially qualify. And then the weakest team, Saudi Arabia, I think they're going to be like a doormat. I mean, they have gone a little bit better compared to the last World Cup, but it's not enough for me to say that they're going to finish anywhere but fourth in this group. Now in Group D, this is the group that I am going to put Denmark in first place, and this is where I'm going to start creating some surprises. I'm going to say Australia is going to finish second. I'm going to say France is going to finish third. And in fourth place, I'm going to say Tunisia is going to finish that spot. So let me just move this a little bit because the board kind of gone a little bit. And yeah, so again, some of the big surprises of me doing this prediction has started with me decided to put the defending World Cup champion not making out of the next round and continue what seems like it's one of the many World Cup curses that we've been getting. I mean, whether you believe it or not, one of the curse about the World Cup is that if you win that thing in the previous edition, yeah, you better believe in the next edition you're not going to go very deep. And despite the fact that I did kind of make a bold prediction, say that France is going to move on into the knockout round, and when you look at this squad, I mean, again, it's hard to imagine with the quality that they had. They won't move on into the next round. But again, this reminds me a little bit of all the teams that come into this tournament as defending champion. I mean, we said that with Germany back in 2018, and they falter big time. And the same goes in 2014 when Spain had a very good team, and they falter. And that was a team that everybody thought that they would go through because they're a very very good tournament team. And that again with France, I know they have Mbappe and have a lot of good talent to player, but again, just they do have to deal with some injury and the fact that they're not heading into this World Cup in the best of form. Something tells me that curse is going to bite them. And also France is another team that has had a history of times just underachieving. I mean, nobody will forget what happened in 2010 when they had a very decent team and they just completely completely pooped the bed in every ways, and that there was like controversy on and off the field, which I feel like this France team kind of had some of that. I mean, not as much as what we see in 2010. And not to mention, I think from what I also heard, Karim Benzema is not going to be playing for this France team. That is a huge blow for this France team. I mean, most likely Giroud is going to be up there, but not having Benzema, who has been just a lethal goal scorer for what seems like forever, that is a huge blow to this French team. So on top of that, I think they're going to finish third. Denmark, they're pretty much everybody's underdog, and that I really think this Danish team is for real. Especially they've been in incredible form. I say Australia will finish second. I mean, Australia hasn't really made it past the round of 16, and this is supposed to be one of the weakest Australia team, but I just have a feeling maybe they're gonna do something incredible, and that they could definitely cause the upset against France. I believe they have faced against France before in the last World Cup. I think France, of course, won that, but something tells me maybe this could be different. And then Tunisia, this could be also a team that, I mean, it's definitely right around the same quality that they had in the last World Cup, and they actually finished third in that group that they were in, but this time I'm gonna say they're gonna finish fourth in that spot. Now, going to Group E, known as many people the Group of Death. I'm gonna say Germany is gonna finish first. Spain's gonna finish second. Japan's gonna finish third, and Costa Rica is going to finish dead last, and I think this is, in terms of logic wise, this is probably how the group is going to go. And again, one thing we know about tournament soccer is that sometimes logic is completely thrown out of the window, and we have seen some wiles and wackiness that happen in the World Cup, which is why, maybe I shouldn't gone with logic by saying that the two European powerhouses going to make it through, and then the team coming out of Asia is probably not going to make it, and of course Costa Rica just barely making it to the World Cup is also not going to make it. But again, for Germany and Spain, they definitely have much more quality than what Japan and Costa Rica is. The problem I say about Japan is the fact that they haven't really done much in the World Cup in the past couple of editions. I mean, they always qualified, but it seems like they either just barely make it to the round of 16 or they just get knocked out. And not to mention, I think one of the issue with Japan, as I've heard, is that they have problem in terms of finishing their chances, and that when you of course face against some of the best team in the world and you don't take your chances, that could definitely be an issue. And that was a key thing in that game against the US. Yes, Japan did beat the US in that one, but honestly, if I remember watching that game, or at least seeing the highlights of that game, Japan should have won like 4 or 5-0. They just had problem at times finishing their chances, and that, I think, that could come back to haunt them, especially when they face against some good team. Costa Rica, they're definitely probably the weakest team out of this group of death. I mean, unless if Keylor Navas is going to go in God's mode and just kind of saving everything in this one and potentially be the goalkeeper of the tournament, I don't see Costa Rica doing that much. I mean, they're kind of in a transitional period where this is a team that just barely made it to the World Cup, largely because Keylor Navas is playing God mode, and that they need him to do it again if they have a chance. And if not, they have no chance in terms of this game. They're probably going to finish that last in this group. But now we've moved to Group F, and I gotta say, this is probably the group that, out of all the group that I'm going to predict, this is going to be the one that I probably might be wrong, because this is probably the most unpredictable group. But I'm going to say, I'm going to kind of go with logic again. I'm going to say Belgium will finish first. I'm actually going to go with the Canucks and go with Canada in second, Croatia in third, and Morocco in fourth place. I mean, it's kind of logic because, Belgium is the strongest team in this group and they should finish first. But, like France, there could be a case where maybe, just maybe Belgium could be one of those teams where they it wouldn't be a big surprise if they kind of stunk it up in this World Cup, and especially with the way that they have all, like, out of all these teams that have pressure to win the World Cup, I think you could argue Belgium is right up there in the top 3 of teams that is kind of like in World Cup or bust mode. I mean, you heard me all the time when I talk about MLS game. I talk about teams have MLS Cup or bust kind of season. For Belgium, it's kind of World Cup or bust, because you got to say this is probably the last chance in terms of this golden generation that they had. I mean, some might even say that 2018 was the last chance, but I really think this is really the last chance, because when you look at the golden generation that they've been having, this main core that they've been getting the last couple of tournament, they're started to get into the wrong side of 30, and that, if they want to do something, this has got to be the one to do so. And that, while they definitely have that pressure, I think in the end they just will have the quality to finish top of the group. But I'm going to say Canada will finish second. And again, talk about the unpredictability. Any of these teams, I think, could finish in the first or make it out of the group. I mean, Canada could easily find themselves dead last, but they can also finish first place because, there's just something about this Canadian team, and that, I've watched them a lot in terms of World Cup qualifying, and then also watched them beat the US. They have that kind of tenacity and have that kind of self-belief kind of energy that they can do it. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Montreal this season, where, Montreal this season with them finishing second in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they have some quality player, but it's all about that belief that they can get the job done, and they were able to do so. And not to mention, they had a good head coach in Wilfried Nancy. And the same case with Canada. I think John Herdman is definitely one of the most, if not the most, underrated head coach in this World Cup. And when you also look at this Canadian team, I can't wait to see Alphonso Davies in the World Cup stage. I mean, I've been a big fan of Alphonso Davies ever since back in his Whitecaps day, and then going up front, I think Jonathan David is going to have a big game. Kyle Larin could be that, and again, this Canadian team, I think they can do it. I think this is a team that, they didn't finish first in the octagonal or didn't finish first by accident, and that I think they're gonna shock the world again and actually do well in this and actually move on into the next round. Now, I said Croatia is going to finish third. That sounds a little maddening because Croatia made it to the World Cup final just 4 years ago in Russia. But again, this is like Belgium. The golden generation that Croatia has kind of aged badly, and in fact, just like Belgium, for Croatia, that World Cup final, I really think that was a huge missed opportunity. Yes, I know that them going to the World Cup final, that is something that is nothing short of miraculous. But again, with the golden generation that they've been having, that was really the best shot that they could have won the whole thing and shocked the world. But now with that core kind of started to age badly. I mean, some of them are still there. I mean, their main man Luka Modric is still there at around 37 years old. But again, they're kind of a team that is in transition, and that they'll have enough quality to at least get into it, but I think in the end, they'll probably just miss out on. And then Morocco, again, this is another team that have a lot of good talent, especially on the attacking end, but defense is where Morocco could be having some issue. And that we talk about teams that have good defense and that maybe they'll make it get far, even if they don't have good attack. And I think you can't say the same when it comes to good attack and bad defense. And I think that's kind of what Morocco has. And especially in tournament soccer, you have to have good defense. I mean, you can have kind of mediocre attack because in tournament soccer, you're going to have kind of tight games like this. You simply cannot have bad defense and find yourself in the 8 ball so much. And I feel like Morocco probably will be, and that's maybe will be their downfall and potentially of them finish dead last in this group. Now, moving into Group G, I'm gonna say Brazil is gonna finish in first place, but in second, I'm gonna say Switzerland is gonna finish in that spot. In third place, I'm gonna say Cameroon, and then in fourth place, I'm gonna say Serbia is gonna finish in that group. So obviously, no surprise. I think Brazil is the strongest team out of this group. They are also one of the favorites of potentially going all the way. And you can also say that, knowing the fact that Brazilian fans always have high expectation about their national team, they're going to be heading into this World Cup or bust mode. Anything but a World Cup is definitely considered to be a failure, and especially in Neymar's mind too. He definitely wants to win a World Cup for his country, even though technically, this is not really his last chance to do so. Now, on the other hand, in second place, this is where it could be a bit of a battle, because I think you can definitely make the case that all three of these countries can potentially make it into the next round. But in the end, I'm gonna pick Switzerland because just like Wales, I think Switzerland is kind of a team that is similar to Wales, where there's really not kind of like a big name kind of player. Well, I think if you want to name big name player, for Wales, obviously it's Gareth Bale. But for Switzerland, you can say it's kind of between Xherdan Shaqiri and Granit Xhaka. I think right now it's Granit Xhaka because he's been doing very well right now with Arsenal, and that's nothing to go against with Xherdan Shaqiri. I mean, he's been, whenever he's playing with Switzerland, he also have stepped up big. But Xhaka has historically performing much better with Switzerland compared to his club. Only until this season where he's really lightened up with Arsenal. But again, this is a team that, just like Wales, I think they'll get the job done because they know how to do it. Cameroon, again, this team came very, very close in terms of winning it all in the African Cup of Nations, and they're also known as one of the toughest team. Or actually, hold on, let me just I think I missed out about Cameroon there. But again, going back to Cameroon, they're one of the team, along with Senegal, are teams that could come out of the African region and go deep. But again, I think that in the end, they probably will just fall short. And then Serbia in fourth place. I mean, Serbia has some quality too on their team, but at the end of the day, I think because Serbia has not had a good history in the World Cup, and that they always tends to kind of underachieve in it, I feel like they're probably going to do so, especially against some really good team in their group. And then finally, we go into Group H. And in Group H, I'm going to say Uruguay is going to finish first. Portugal is going to finish second. South Korea is going to finish third. And then I'm going to say Ghana is going to finish that last. Now, obviously, I think, if you look at this group, it's pretty clear that, if there is two teams that's going to make it out of this group, according to logic, it's going to be Uruguay and Portugal, because Uruguay has done very, very well under now Diego Alonso. Remember him with Inter Miami and how that didn't work out? Well, it's safe to say that it definitely has now worked out with him being with Uruguay. And not to mention, this is also a team that I feel like not only they still have some of their core from a couple of years ago. Actually, I don't think Luis Suarez is going to be playing in this tournament. The same goes with Edison Cavani, but they still have some decent play on this team, and also some new decent core and youngster that is going to really kind of becoming the next kind of golden generation for this Uruguay team. Now Portugal, obviously, everybody talks about Cristiano Ronaldo, and that, I think this World Cup, it's just like Messi, it's important for him that this might be his last chance of winning a World Cup for his team, and also a great time to kind of put himself in terms of the distraction that he's been going for. I mean, right now, it's kind of crazy the fact that we've been talking more about Messi potentially having his last shot of winning the World Cup with his country than what Cristiano Ronaldo has done, because, CR7, he's been dealing with controversy surrounding his time with Man U, and that has really kind of overshadowed the fact that, this is potentially his last World Cup and a last chance with Portugal. But besides him, the most recognizable talent in that Portugal team is Bernardo Silva. He's going to be the creator of this team, and that he's doing his. We all have seen him doing so many good things with Man City. I think he's going to bring that into this Portugal team. In the end, I think it's going to be enough for them to make it out of the group. South Korea, again, this is a team that, besides when they host the World Cup back in 2002, they haven't really done much in the tournament. In fact, when you look at a lot of these Asian teams, they haven't really done that much in the World Cup, and now I feel like that is going to be the same case in this one. But in fourth place, I'm going to say Ghana is going to finish that spot. This is definitely not the same Ghana team that we've seen back in 2010 and 14, where they have always been a kryptonite in terms of the U.S. until the U.S. finally got the revenge against Ghana in 2014, and they're way past the part where they have a lot of talented kind of player on the team. But still, it's a team that is still good enough to qualify for the World Cup, and that it's also kind of a team that is in a transitional period. And we've seen before where all these teams that kind of in that transitional period, most likely they're probably not going to do well in this World Cup. At least that's what we think, and I think they're going to finish fourth spot in that. But either way, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this? And I also just realized, the screen kind of got a little bit foggy while I write down the names of these teams. I mean, I can still see it relatively well, but either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and as always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this prediction, and also let me know in the comments your prediction of these group stage game, and where each of these team is gonna finish at the end of the group stage. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.